So Terence Bud Crawford becomes a freeweight world champion with a ninth round TKO of Jeff Horn, capturing the WBO World Welterweight title. Crawford didn't lose a round. He took a couple rounds to find his bearings and maybe shake off a bit of ring rust, actually, because he's been out the ring for nearly a year. So he was trying to find his bearings. Jeff Horn has got a very awkward style, very awkward rhythm. So Crawford was trying to find his timing, get his bearings. But once he did, he was slowly breaking Jeff Horn down. And one of the things people wondered was whether Terence Crawford would be able to cope with Jeff Horn's physical strength on the inside. But actually, Terence Crawford looked like the physically stronger man, which might have surprised some people. He looked strong in there, and yeah, he just battered Jeff Horn all the way through. Horn's awkwardness was offsetting Terence Crawford's rhythm, and the fight was quite scrappy through the first half. But as it progressed and as Horn started slowing down, Terence Crawford was able to land more and more clean punches. And he hurt Jeff Horn, I think it was at the end of was it in the seventh round he hurt him? Definitely hurt him at the end of the eighth, because he nearly touched down at the end of the eighth. Then in the ninth round, he eventually did go down and got back up, but Terence Crawford, always been a good finisher, went in there, landed a few more shots, and the referee waved it off. So a good performance by Terence Crawford, won every single round, didn't put a foot wrong, never got hurt, didn't really get caught with many shots, good defensively, good offensively, just a good all-round performance. And whenever Terence Crawford fights, he always gets a great reception from the crowd. Terence Crawford's fans are one of the few sets of fans left in the United States at the moment that actually come out to support their fighter properly. And I know there's Canelo Alvarez, but Canelo Alvarez is Mexican, right? I'm talking about American-born fighters. Terence Crawford is one of the only ones now that has a big fan base from his home state that are actually willing to travel as well, because this fight was in Vegas. This almost felt like an old school 1990s, 1980s Vegas fight night, because the crowd was so into it. So that was really good to see. Really good to see. And hopefully they can build on that with Terence Crawford, have him fight in Vegas more and maybe build bigger cards around him. So yeah, good performance by Terence Crawford. Called out the other champions at welterweight, turned to his promoter Bob Arum and said, let's do it. Let's make these unifications. Let's get it on. So it's down to Bob to see if he can get that cracking and make that happen. One thing I will say though is I do wonder, even though it was a good performance, I do wonder how he would do against the likes of Spence and Keith Thurman when Thurman is firing on all cylinders. Even in Amir Khan, to be honest with you, I do wonder how he would do. I'm not saying he can't beat them, but I'm just wondering, because although he did stop Horn, Horn was, I don't want to say tailor-made for him, but Horn's skill level is so far below Terence Crawford's. It might have flattered Crawford a little bit, because I do think the physicality of somebody like Sean Porter or Keith Thurman would play a much bigger part, because those guys are athletic and those guys are strong. They can get in and out. Their skill level's much higher than a Jeff Horn, Errol Spence, obviously, and even a Khan. I think an Amir Khan Terence Crawford fight is interesting, because Crawford does have power. We saw that he's got power, but he's not a devastating puncher, I don't think, at 147. So I'd be interested to see Khan against Crawford, because Khan is fast. And here's one thing I will say as well. Terence Crawford didn't look as fast here. In fact, he looked noticeably slower at 147 than he did at junior welterweight or lightweight. And that's to be expected because of the fact he's heavier, but it's also to be noted, he did look, to me, noticeably slower. Didn't look as sharp. He looked good, don't get it twisted, but noticeably slower and not as sharp. And somebody like Khan with his height and reach and movement and very fast hands. I mean, Khan looked faster to me than Terence Crawford in the hand speed department. I know he doesn't have Crawford's slickness and Crawford's overall boxing brain and savvy, but Khan's physicality, I wonder, an informed Amir Khan, how he would do against Terence Crawford. I don't know, he might do alright, he might actually do alright. Crawford is definitely going to find his stiffest competition at 147 pounds. I've got no question about that in my mind. He's definitely going to find it way tougher at 147. But, as I say, a good win over Horn, didn't lose a round. But when he takes on the other champions, it's going to be a different ball game, I think. And again, I'm not saying he can't beat them, but I think it's going to be a hell of a lot tougher than fighting a Jeff Horn. So, we'll see. Anyway, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you felt about Terence Crawford's performance. Were you impressed? How do you think he's going to fare against the other champions? Drop your comments below. It's Hatman, I'm out.